Hey guys, Masati here. Welcome to the 18-day orientation. With me is going to be Christina. She's going to be asking me questions on, how the 18-day works, what the 18-day hyper meditations are all about. So again, welcome. Whether you're new or you've been here before, either way, that's a great opportunity for you to understand how powerful the 18 days is. So Christina, if you're around, and then I'll also answer some of the chat questions as well. So
Good morning, Moss. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Christine, how are you doing?
Excellent. You're having a fabulous hair day.
Oh, thanks. Coconut oil. Yeah, it's kind of all over the place. Anyway, thanks.
We'll start with our favorite. So, Moss, the first question, could you briefly describe what the 18-day hyper meditation program is? What is it and what makes it so potent?
Right. So briefly describe what the 18-day hyper meditations is. It's really it's a program, okay, where it can transform your life at a very deep level in 18 days just by listening. Okay. So again, there's a couple components. One, it's all about frequencies. There's different levels of frequencies. Scientists have discovered, different layers of frequencies. Obviously, we have sound frequencies, we have visual frequencies, and so on like that. And then brainwave technologies and so on. They talk about, say, delta, theta, alpha level frequencies, and so on like that. That generate change. And there's, again, a lot of scientific proof on that. Well, the frequencies that are generated on the 18-day hyper meditations is one very high level frequency. I would call it, say, the origin of frequencies. And as these frequencies edit and change your master blueprint. So as these frequencies edit and change your master blueprint, all you literally have to do is just like kick back and listen as your frequencies change. And as you change, or your frequencies change, then you change. And this is where, again, in the 18 days, it's the fastest way to transform any aspect of your life. It'll transform your health, your wealth, your relationships, even that spiritual connection that you have. So again, overall, the 18 days is the fastest way to transform your life, hands down.
Wonderful. Thank you, Maz. So you said all we have to do is kick back and listen. How is this possible to transform simply by listening?
Sure. Again, a lot of brainwave technologies you heard, you listen over headphones. The frequencies that I generate, and you can, all the stories about me or the transformations of how I've transformed hundreds of thousands of lives. That's on the website, masajati.com. You can go there. But basically, it's like I generate, frequencies are generated, and these frequencies go beyond, say, the mechanical conception or the mechanicals of, say, Zoom, which we'll be using to connect. Just like frequencies, brainwave frequencies or audio frequencies that transform, your brainwave functions. These are frequencies that I generate that, say, shift you at a higher or deeper level state. I would call it your genetic makeup. And we're having more and more scientific proof on that. So just by listening, we're doing more than just listening, and we'll probably get into deeper questions about, what really happens in the 18 days. But again, just by listening or just kicking back and relaxing, because that's what it is about. It's about transforming or shifting you at your base level. Again, that your base level is a frequency. So you change your frequency, you change your life.
I love that. Thank you so much, Mas. So what is the difference between traditional meditations and hyper meditation?
Hyper meditations and traditional meditations, there's thousands of different ways of meditating. And the difference between, again, those, and I'll tell you what those are, is most meditations literally help you escape your identity of who you are here in physical form, right? You're always escaping to yourself, outside of yourself. So, you go into a deeper state. Yes, you do. You go into a deeper state and you lose your physical form. You lose your physical identity of who you are, and you go into, say, a euphoric state. Or some people might call it, you're connecting to your spirit or your limitless self. And that's true. So the key is that most meditations help you escape your physical form or your physical reality that you have to deal with 24/7, right? And that's why a lot of meditations or a lot of meditators, they tend to escape their physical platform or their physical experience and then always to go into meditation. They're always in doing meditation, escaping into meditation. So what the 18-day hyper meditations is actually the reverse. 18-day hyper meditations allow you to understand yourself from a very deep level. Okay, the 18-day hyper meditations, not about escaping your identity. It's not about escaping into, say, that grander version of who you are. Okay, I would call it your timeless self. So just to set the picture, you have your physical form here, and then through mental operation, right, or through guidance, mental guidance, you escape, you disconnect, or you put your body to sleep, and then you say transcend into your higher self, your limitless self. Some of you might call it your spirit. What the 18-day hyper meditations does is it allows your higher version of who you are, your limitless self, to say come into your physical form and observe how you render your life here. So this allows you to, again, make transformations in your physical aspect of who you are, the physical, say, life that you live 24/7. That's really the key. Again, other forms of meditation help you escape the reality that you exist in 24/7. The 18-day hyper meditation allows you to come in from a higher self, higher understanding of who you are, and observe the reality that you exist in to help you change it.
So it feels like with traditional meditations, you have to leave to make the change and then come back to execute that change. Whereas hyper meditations, everything happens internally and you're able to really direct your life much more easily because it's all integrated into you already.
Sure. The key is, though, most meditations out there, yes, they help you change. They help you, say, quiet your body, so to speak. And that's where the only change occurs. It allows so when you escape your identity of who you are in, say, a normal meditation, it allows your body to, say, recover, right, and come into itself. So it's very minimal change. And again, the key is that it doesn't really help you resolve the issues. It just helps you, say, relax and come into, say, a more complete or a more relaxed state so you can handle the problems that you're facing. Okay, the 18 hyper meditations allows you to observe yourself from a higher, say, identity of who you are. Okay, so you're not escaping, you're allowing your higher self or your natural intelligence or your higher, your spirit, your limitless self to literally come into this reality, this physical, say, idea of who you think you are. And then it observes. Again, you become hyper aware. That's really why it's called hyper meditations. You start to become hyper aware of the patterns that you're running every day, every minute. You start to become aware of all the patterns that you run. And as you observe the patterns that you run, you start to question yourself. It's like, why the hell am I doing that? Why the hell am I, running my parents' patterns? Why? Why is this pattern happening to me? Okay. So when you start to observe the patterns that you're running, again, by becoming hyper aware, this is where, say, fantastic changes can come about. Again, so most meditations, again, it's an escape mechanism or a mechanism that allows you to deal with, say, the problems that you have. The 18-day hyper meditations allows you to, say, fix or resolve the problems that you have.
I understand. Thank you very much, Mas. So how do your abilities to scan people actually work, and why are you able to perceive at that level?
Well, so how do my abilities actually work? Well, I step out of this reality or the consciousness that we create ourselves in. Most individuals say that you're in a bubble. You're in this sphere, or you're a fish. Say that you're a fish. Okay. And you wouldn't understand the concept of water, right? So, because you're a fish, right? There's no concept because that's your environment. That's just the way you think it is. There's no other way, right? Because you're in water. And again, that's the only environment that you're used to. Well, step it up a notch. You as humans, and this goes to, Einstein's theories about, say, frequencies, are stepping out, say, of the reality that you, say, exist in, and observing it from a different, say, level. So you as humans, or us as humans, I should say, I should put myself in there as well. Us as humans, what happens is that, we get caught in ourselves, and we think the reality that we're creating is just the way it is. And it's really not. You start to think that, my life is the way it is. My abuse patterns is the way it is. My lack of self-worth is the way it is, because that's the way we were brought up. Again, we don't know any other environment. Right. So what happens is that, as you say, step out, or like I did, I stepped out not only of, say, my life identity of how I thought my life was, and that's how I've made fantastic changes, even, say, aging younger than I actually am, and that's what I do for people. I actually, say, step out, say, of that consciousness that we call, say, the human, say, psyche. So literally, I see you as an observer of your life. And that's where, and you can be in front of me, or somebody can mention, I have a friend, and I can tap into their frequency, and then instantly understand, say, where they are. So the first step, basically, just to put it in a nutshell, is that, one, you have to step out of the reality of, say, of the human consciousness. So that's step one. This first step that I do is step out of the consciousness that most people see themselves in. Once you are out of that consciousness, or out of that concept, you can observe how humans run their patterns. And as an observer of how humans run their pattern, you can also, once you observe, that's half of the solution. But then, as you say, accumulate, your abilities at a higher level of, say, awareness that we all are, or that we all have, you can start to, say, manifest or transform or edit individuals', say, patterns and abilities. And that's where fantastic changes come about. Again, healing themselves of, like, even stage 4 cancers, or those kind of, say, miracles start to happen. By the way, when you start to again pull yourself out of, say, the reality that most people create themselves, and then you can edit that reality. Again, you can find fantastic solutions because you're out of the reality that most people create themselves in.
Got it. Thank you so much. Just absorbing that one, that was great. So, Mas, what do you actually do during the HyperMeditations while you're working on us?
Well, a lot of things on the back end. Again, the 18-day HyperMeditations isn't really about, getting you into a meditative state and just, like, relaxing, and then it's basically taking a break from life, and then after the meditation, you step out of it. The 18-day HyperMeditations allows me to help you become hyper aware of how you run your pattern. So on the back end, what I do is I observe the group as a whole and generate a frequency that allows you to go into deeper states. So whether you're an avid meditator that can get into deeper states, again, this is very different than that, because it's the opposite, like I talked about. And then, or whether you have problems meditating, either way, if you've noticed, and again, comment in on those individuals, say, who've had problems quieting the mind. One, so I get you into that frequency where you're more malleable to transform, where you're more comfortable, or you're more safe, or you're more secure. I put you in an environment where you're safe and secure, so you can, say, observe, or you can become aware of those patterns that are hindering you. And then, so that's the first step, putting you into a frequency, or a zone, if you would call it, that allows you to see how you're running your patterns. And then two, creating, depending on, say, where we are on in the 18 days. The first third of the 18 days literally is about, where you observe how the possibilities, the grand possibilities of who you are. The second, I generate frequencies that go, okay, I like those possibilities. Let's reach them. How can I reach them? And then the third is, how do you play in that field, right? How do you play in the field of possibilities? So those are the three areas that I generate different levels of frequencies. And just to go a little deeper here, so on the 18 days, one, I get you into, again, a deep state of meditation, so-called meditation, but you're really hyper aware of, say, your surroundings. So that allows me to help you observe the patterns that's really not you. Okay, could be your sisters, you could be your parents' patterns, and so on like that. And then third of all, I help you, say, release or disconnect from those patterns that aren't beneficial for you. So through the generation of, say, frequencies.
Got it. So to clarify, you help get us into the deep state of meditation so that we can start to observe our patterns. And then the last part is to help us release those patterns and perhaps go into new, better patterns. Is that a good analogy? Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Wonderful. I'm in. So that was easy. So what happens to us as participants during this hypermeditation program, as an individual going in, and then as a collective group, say the essential group and then the accelerated group?
Right. So, boy, that's a big question. So if you're a new individual coming into, the 18 days, I would really suggest doing the elevation. It really, say, sets you up or primes you, or it accelerates your knowledge about frequencies. Okay, it's an accelerator, the elevation classes. And even if you are an XIer, I would do the elevation classes, the elevation HyperMeditations. It's just 4 times a month, by the way. And then you can get into your choice. I would, if you're new to XI, I would take the essential meditation. Even if you think you're an expert, you've done this before, you've had a lot of spiritual practice, or you've had a lot of success, you want to change your life really fast, and all that, I would still stick with the essential meditations at least once. Right? Because the advancement, the accelerated meditations really transform your life really fast, and you have to learn how to stabilize.
So what happens to us participants during the hypermeditation, both collectively and individually?
Yeah. So what happens to the participants? So again, the biggest key is that if you're new, you start to, and then depending on, say, what section or what part of the 18 days that we're at. So if you're new, and then in the 18-day essential, for example, you'll start to become aware of the possibilities that you've never experienced before. Okay, which is a huge step for people. So first, we literally build you up to, say, solve your problems much easier. Most things that are out there, they circumvent the problem, they create a workaround the problem, they never really fix the problem. The 18-day HyperMeditations is all about, not really fixing your problem, but just changing your channel. Literally about, this is not my problem. This is like my mom's problem or my dad's problem. So again, it's let me back up. It's most meditations or most program self-improvements that you do, again, it's not about, say, fixing or resolving or deleting completely that pattern in you. It's about putting a layer on top of it to circumvent it or have you help to deal with it better. Okay. The 18-day HyperMeditation literally is about, okay, I've got this, say, pattern that I'm running. Okay, not a problem, but I'm running this pattern. How do I delete it, or how do I change the channel so I'm not running that pattern anymore? So if you're new, you start to become aware of, say, the possibilities that you've never experienced that were possible for you. You start to become more self-aware. You start to become more confident, and so on. In the first third of the 18-day, especially the 18-day essential, you start to become more aware of the possibilities of you are. So if you're advanced, taking the 18-day essential for like the 5th time or the 10th time, like some of you, this allows you not to fix anymore. This allows you to go, gosh, what can I do? How can I expand more into my possibilities? How can I turn those possibilities that are out there into actually physical form? How can I experience those possibilities here in physical form? So it's really exciting, whether you're new or whether you've been here for the 20th time. Every 18 days is beneficial for either of those groups. So that's the first half. The second, again, the second third is, if you're new, it allows you to go, gosh, okay, these are the subset of problems or programs that I'm running, right? So it's, and you start to understand, say, not just the experiences that you've had, but basically the algorithms or patterns that you're running. It's like, okay, how do I separate from, say, these patterns that I've been running all my life, or maybe parents' patterns that they've been running that I inherited? So you start to separate yourself from those patterns, or programs, as I call it. If you're on the accelerated, or if you've been here before, what happens, and this is why you want to take the 18 days over and over again, because it just propels you higher and higher. On the 18 days, on the second third of the 18 days, it literally helps you become more aware and create, say, a blueprint on how to, reach the possibilities that you're now experiencing. Or that are close at hand for you. Okay. And then on the third part, if you're new, if you're new on the 18-day essential, if you're new, the third part is about, okay, I'm strong enough to understand why those things happen to me. I've learned and grown from those things that have happened to me, or even my parents. I can see those patterns. I've learned enough from them. I can disconnect from them and move into a different direction of my life. So that's the third. If you're new, if you're in that fixing mode. Now, if you've been here before, okay, what the third part of the 18 days, again, there's 3 parts. What the third part of the 18 days is about is that it allows you to step into your potential. This is where people see possibilities. This is where people start to push the boundaries of what was limiting them. So these are really, so this is what's really fantastic about the 18 days. It's not about just putting bandages on for you and then hobbling along through life. This is about fixing you or healing you completely, so you can see and literally grab onto the potential that's there for you. Okay, so that's the essential. On the 18-day accelerated program, again, an advanced program, it's twice a day. The advanced program, it's all about teaching you the logistics on how to manifest, how to manipulate or reprogram. I use manipulate in a positive terminology. How to understand, the environment that you're in, where you're always, thriving or striving to be a better version of yourself day by day. And that's what the 18-day HyperMeditations. So it literally teaches you, how to fly. And it's literally coming into, it's one of the best programs, the accelerated, for you to become, a self-actualized person. Now, the 18-day, you can do that. And a lot of people become really aware of their surroundings and the possibilities. So the 18-day accelerated is literally pulls, the potential out of you. And then it allows you to not just see the potential, but you start to live from you become the potential that you are starting to experience.
So Mas, do you have to work differently on each of the groups, essential versus accelerated, or do you work similarly on these groups?
No, it's totally different frequencies. And
Okay.
those, again, those who have been here before, the frequencies that I generate, it's a softer frequency. It's a more, say, well, think of it this way. In the essential, it's not a starter program. It's a very highly advanced program, but it allows you to, say, make mistakes. It allows you to. It's like you are an apprentice type. Okay, you're learning about frequencies. So the essential is about an apprentice. You're learning the boundaries of what frequencies are about, or you're experiencing what frequencies or how you're generating this reality. The accelerated is more into, say, a mastership level program, right? So again, if you're new, and no matter how in tune you are with any other modality, again, I would suggest just taking the essential for at least one time and then jumping into the accelerated. So again, overall, the essential is about an apprenticeship where you're getting all your ducks in a row, you're becoming complete, you're healing yourself, you've nurtured yourself, all aspects of you are firing, say, properly. And then the accelerated would be getting into, say, mastering life, or mastering, say, again, coming into a self-actualized state. So.
Got it. Thank you so much. So do I have a job to do during the program as a participant? And do you have a job specifically to do during the 18-day program?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And that's why I like to do the 18 days live. So it's 9:30 a.m. Central for the essential, and then 9:30 a.m. and p.m. For the accelerated. So it's the essential is once a day, the accelerated is twice a day. And I like to do these live because I can scan into the group real time and see what we need in real time. Okay. And it's not just an overall general group, by the way. It literally is like, okay, this is a group of people that's come together to, say, better their lives, right? And within that, there's subgroups. Some groups, some part of that group is that you've been, say, abused, right? Other groups you've been, say, you haven't had, say, the right luck. Another, say, subgroup would be, that you were, whatever it might be, you didn't have. You were, you came from lack, or you came from you came from abundance, but it was an abusive environment. Whatever it might be, the reason where you are, the reason why you are or where you are, I create a general frequency, and then I create, say, subgroups within those frequencies, depending on where you are, so we can get you to a higher level. So it's not one frequency for all. Okay. So again, there's an umbrella frequency that I generate for you, and then subgroups depending on, say, where you are or what life experiences that you've had. And then a lot of times even more, say, subgroups of the subgroups, because there's different ways of being abused, right? For example, right? Or shortchanged, right? Sometimes there's no love in the family. Sometimes there's sexual abuse and trauma and so on. Again, so you go deeper and deeper. And that's why I like to do these live. So that's mainly on the essential. Again, is creating, say, groups, different frequencies for all those, say, different people. And at the level that I'm at, especially, this past year, my abilities really have transformed. Where I can, say, be more precise on the frequencies that I generate for literally each one of you. On the accelerated, it is more of a combined group. So it's not that you've broken down, because you should be at a level where most of you are at a certain level. You've cleaned up some of those, some of the aches and pains of your life, basically. So, right. So you're getting into, say, mastery level. So again, it's more of a condensed frequency, but it's more of an intense frequency for you. Okay. So, and this allows you, again, to go into higher potentialities of who you are. And then you have to figure out how to stay there. So my job, again, on the essential, is, again, helping you understand or helping you heal from, say, the past, okay, and the present. On the accelerated, it's about, okay, now that you're understanding how you heal or you have healed, pushing you into, say, the arenas that's best for you. Okay, your job is to become aware of, say, your old version of who you are or who you've been, and then the new version of who you've been, no matter which one you've taken, the essential or the accelerated, or even the elevation one. Again, your job is to go, okay, I've shifted over. I'm seeing the patterns that I'm running. Okay, your job is to, say, change your physical habits, change your attitude, your logic mechanisms, and so on like that. Although it'll be a lot easier for you. So your job again is that as you see changes, you get to choose. Do you want to go your old path or do you want to go your new path? Okay. So again, you always want to choose the new path, no matter how comfortable you are with the old path, because you already know what type of result you're going to get on the old path. So again, always choose the new path. And you might go, well, that's easy. Why would I go the old way? There's a lot of reasons why people will, go back to their old patterns. So again, it's a very important job for you. Right? To again observe the patterns that you're running and then choose, say, different possibilities or different choices for you. Right? Again, very important job. I don't do it alone. Right? It's your life, so you have to take control of it. The 18-day hyper meditations or anything we do in XI is literally about handing you the handbook and the tools and teaching you how to use those tools to create a fantastic life for yourself.
It's free will. You can't do it for us, correct, Mas? We actually have to do the work ourselves. It's not just
absolutely.
Understand.
Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, so I can, like I said, I can show you the possibilities of your new life, and then so you get to choose. And then again, that's free will, right? I can show you the possibilities of how your life could be, and then your old life. Again, choose the new possibilities for you. I can't do that part for you because it would be against free will, like she said.
It is easy to slip back or go back to the old ways. It's more comfortable. It's something that you already know, but we already know that going that way won't help transform your life. But like you said, we have to keep noticing these patterns.
Right. And you can choose your old self. By the way, there's always consequences. Once you know the truth, again, once you can tell that there's a better version of yourself out there, choosing your old path or choosing your old, say, life, it's not going to be the same anyway, because you know that there's a grander possibility. So again, choosing your old life doesn't mean that you go back to your old life. Usually it means that usually it gets, I don't want to say it gets worse for you, but you become more, if you do choose, say, your old path, you become more and more aware or more irritated with yourself again, and that'll kick you in the ass to, again, choose differently. So some people might might not be comfortable with the new path. So they'll go, I'll just choose my old. So either way, it forces you to change is the key. That's what I'm trying to get at. You can't stay the same. Either way, whichever one you choose, you're going to change either sooner or later. And that's why it's the 18-day hyper meditations are so potent. Okay. Because it goes beyond, the limitations of the mind. It just literally forces you to be your best possible self. It basically allows your genetic, say, infrastructure to take over, because it's in your genome or your genetics to be your best possible self each and every moment.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mas. These next couple of questions have to do with being live for the first 3 days. Mm-hmm. So why is it so important? You've mentioned this before. Why is it so important to join the program live for the first few days, 2 to 3 days?
Right. So why is it so important for you to join live for the first 3 days at least? And then I'll answer Samuel's question. This is a really good question, by the way. So So why is it important for you to be there live? And again, this takes a little dedication. So that's really important for some of you who are across the pond or a different time zone. It might be 3, 4 o'clock in the morning for you, right? So again, dedication to commitment to yourself on why you want to be here, right? Or why you should be here. So again, it's dedicating yourself to be the best possible self. So that's number one reason. Two, it allows me to have your personal, say, your specific frequency signature within the mastermind. So with it takes about 3 days to create or form a mastermind. So anytime, and a mastermind simply is that whenever 2 or more individuals get together, right? By about, say, the 3rd day in that relationship, you start to form patterns, right? And literally it generates, say, a 3rd person. So again, whenever 2 or more individuals come together, whether it's 2 people, a couple hundred people, 1,000 people, like in the 18 days, hopefully get more and more, or human species, there's usually, you say, one personality that, say, creates a framework on how, say, that relationship works. So you want your specific frequency signature, your specific identity within that mastermind. And that way, even if you don't choose to do it live afterwards, your personal frequency signature is included within that mastermind. Right? Now, if you can't make it, right, or if you sign up late, it's okay. So the way that works is that, there's say one person that has these habits from you. There's another person that has these habits from you. There's another person that has these habits for you. So although it's not your specific frequency signature, there's enough people on the call that allows me to help you either way. But again, it just takes more people to generate, say, a specific identity of who you are. That's all. Did that make sense? How that works?
That makes sense. So it is important to join the program live if you can for the first 3 days, so that you can be part of the generated mastermind.
Yes.
But if you can't participate live in the first few days for work schedule, time zones, etc., there are other people out there who will run the same patterns that I do, so that you'll be okay coming back into it.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So again, the key is that you want to be here on the first 3 days. So your specific frequency signature is in the mastermind. Okay. And if you can't make it, and again, I would try my best to make it the first 3 days. And if you can't make it, there's enough people that, that have, say, your personality traits, that could render one of you. So again, either way, it's still very powerful, but you do want to make it, again, there live if you can. There's this question I wanted to answer.
What happens if you do choose for us and break free will?
Right.
That was from Samuel G.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that because, again, it messes up with my frequencies, breaking up free will. And you can never really, say, control people. By the way, you can always show them the possibilities. Your natural instinct is always to gravitate to your higher potential. So XI is not about controlling people in any way. It's about, again, showing the possibilities, or the best possibilities. So there really is no need for me to, say, break your free will. Now, there are, say, limited exceptions where I do break, say, free will for you. Okay. And these are those individuals who have been, say, so burdened with life, a lot of trauma, a lot of tragic experiences, and so on like that, that they don't have, well, at this level, most people don't have free will anyway. Okay. So let's just face it. But those people who are burdened or so traumatic, what happens is I bypass their free will momentarily. Okay. So what that means is, and this is for, again, severe traumas and so on like that, or severe illnesses, right? That are like inherently, say, built into you so dramatically that you think you are that. So what I do is I do bypass your free will, and instead of you choosing, say, the choice, I put you into that state where you naturally are. So you've already made that choice, for example. And then it's up to you. Again, free will always comes back. You always have free will. It's up to you. It's like, well, Moss put me into this state that's a much better version than what I had here. Because again, back here, I didn't even have control of, say, free will, or I didn't have the willpower to choose, that new state. So Moss put me here, but then you have to look backwards and go, well, do I want to stay here, or do I want to go slide back to my own self? So again, free will, it's not that I, overrule your free will. It's just that I displace your free will again. So you make your choice later on. So, by the way, that on the accelerated, that's what I do. I put you into states of possibilities that you naturally, say, couldn't get to on your own. You get to choose, and that's why it's tough. It's not tough. It's very intense. You get to choose possibilities that aren't even in your, say, realm of possibilities. And that's where, say, massive expansion comes in. That's where literally, high level self-actualization comes in. Instead of lifetimes of like trying to, say, meditate or dedicate your life, you can break those patterns down into, again, a very short period of time. So in those cases, I circumvent your free will for you to, again, so you can see the possibilities, so you can experience the possibilities of who you are. And then again, free will starts to come back in and you go, I want to stay here. If you want to stay there, then again, it's your choice on what to disconnect from so you can stay at those higher level frequencies. Okay. So it's an advanced form and you have to be really, say, ready for that. So, and that's why, again, it's only in the accelerated.
Got it. Okay. So only in accelerated. Thank you, Moss.
Yep.
Going back to some of the logistics for taking this program, does it matter if I sit, stand, lie down, drive in my car? How can I optimize this program?
Yes. So when you're doing it the first time around, again, you don't want to be driving, but no, it does. Other than that, because people do get into disoriented states. Okay. They start to, as they come into, say, you would call it an altered state, but in reality, it's the state that you're supposed to be in. So it would be altered for you, but again, it's a better version of who you are right away. So if you are very, say, sensitive and get disoriented, again, driving or operating like machinery and all that stuff, not a good idea because it does mess you up or it does alter you. Okay, so you can come into your higher version of who you are. But sitting or standing or lying down, it's either way. I would suggest if you've done a classic meditation in the past before, I would suggest, say, changing it around a bit. Say like you sit in your favorite chair and you've done meditations for 20 years. Right? We'll move the position of that chair or do something different. So it's like, this is a new version of myself. So you break away from the old patterns that you naturally, say, start to, say, elicit, right? When you sit in that chair. So I'd do something different or meditate in a different environment. Some of you are, say, active people. So walking, doing the meditations is really fantastic, or running, doing the meditations is fantastic, or doing something, gardening or whatever, that you want to do, doing the meditations. But then once you get used to it, and again, when we're live or the first time that you've listened for that day's meditation, you want to do it singularly. You want to just do it on your own, take time out of your schedule to just make it your time. Okay. But then afterwards, you can re-listen to that, while you're working. You can put it in the background while you're cooking. It's great. It's a great opportunity, to put it in the background in your living spaces. It transforms, your kids and, the people around you living in that household. It cleans up the house as well, from the frequencies and so on like that. So it accelerates your environment for you. Okay.
Got it. So is it okay if I fall asleep during the meditations?
Yeah. Some people do fall asleep, which is really cool. Sometimes even if you've had a full day's, sleep, Yeah, it's totally fine. A lot of times I liken it to, say, a computer program. If your mind is always busy, right? Or if you're a controller, or controlled or controlling type of, say, personality or frequency, right? What happens is that it's easier for your higher self to shut you down, right? Or basically put you to sleep, right? Just like a computer, right? You can't delete a program that's running, right? If you've ever tried to delete a program that's running, it says, hey, you can't delete the program if you're running. So if you're running from fear and, again, controlled or controlling, a lot of times you might, say, fall asleep, okay? Or get really, really, say, drowsy to a point that you're not really coherent. Again, you're zoning out so you can stop that program so it gets deleted at a very, very deep level within your psyche. So that's why that happens. So yeah, if that's what's happening for you, sure, that's okay.
I just had a thought, Mas. If we do fall asleep, should we go back and listen to that particular session, or is it okay because we are absorbing as we're falling asleep?
Oh, you're still absorbing.
We have to listen to the words.
No, you don't have to listen to the words at all. You don't have to listen to the words. In fact, as we go deeper into the 18 days, I talk a lot, the first 6 days and so on. But as we go deeper and deeper, there's more and more silence, because it's not the words. It's about the frequencies. Although it is a great idea to go back and re-listen, so you have a cognitive idea on, say, what's happening for you. Okay.
Got it. Absolutely done. All right. The last question we do have right now, can you elaborate on the difference between live calls and the replays? Should we listen to all of the replays? Should we listen to all of it live? And you did touch on this before. Yeah. But we've had a lot of questions about the potency of replays. Okay. I can't listen to any live calls at all.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Okay, so again, we need more and more scientific, say, evidence to accumulate that. But there were studies done in a Faraday cage where they played, it was alive. I was working on, say, the human DNA in a vial, and that was changed by about 300%. And then listening to it on a recording, it was changed by about, say, 200 and some percent. I don't know the exact numbers, Faye does, but again, it was still a high level. Okay, so it's still a very high level. So either way, but again, the more live that you can come online and listen to it live, the better frequency, because again, I can, say, tap into you specifically. Even although you're in a group, I can tap into you specifically and then work on you as well, a one-on-one almost. If you're on a live call, on a recorded call, obviously that opportunity is gone for you. So that's the difference. But as far as, again, the potency, even the recordings are very, very potent. So
that's amazing. Thank you so much, Mas.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, one of the things that I want to talk about is people always want a guarantee. Well, is there a money back guarantee, or is this and that? And this is the reason why we don't have a money back guarantee, because in life we mimic the XI, or anything we do with exponential intelligence is that we try to mimic as close as possible the realities of life. In life, there is no guarantees. You're either all in or you're not. Simple as that. There's no guarantee on life. So when you have a guarantee, it literally sets you aside, or basically says it allows you to fail, right? It's like, well, if I fail, I'm going to try something else. And statistics, when people have a prenuptial agreement, again, basically it's like you're telling yourself that marriage is going to fail. That marriage fails more so than, say, most marriages. So it's more of that situation, right? Where you're going like, well, I'm not going to really commit because I have this money back guarantee or whatever, but again, you're real people who become successful, though they go beyond, say, a guarantee that something will work or not. There's hundreds of thousands of people that have tried, the 18 days with fantastic transformations. Okay. So again, it works. The system works for you. It's we're not here to prove anything to you. Again, the system works. The key is that, are you going to work the system? Are you going to commit to, 18 days of your life, for 20, 22 minutes, maybe a little bit longer? Are you going to commit for those 18 days and really do it right? And there's, you burn all of your bridges. Anybody who's been successful, what they've done is that they burned their bridges so they can't go back. There's only one direction they can go. That's fucking forward. So if you're that type of person, that's what these 18-day hyper meditations is about. Again, so again, it puts you into a state or into a position. It's like, there's no other way than becoming my best possible self. So that's why we don't offer 18, money back guarantees or anything like that. It's a commitment to yourself to be the best possible self and do it right the first time. So there are no excuses for you if you're doing the 18 days to not improve your life.
That is absolute commitment. Thank you, Mas. So there's a couple of questions coming up. Mm-hmm. I want to change. Yes. I signed up for the HyperMeditation program. Mm-hmm. Can I go ahead and bring other people into the sessions? Because I want other people to be successful. I just want them to be part of this. So can I just share with everybody?
Well, you shouldn't really share the program with other people, unless it's a family unit. That's okay. But what are the reasons that you want to bring other people in? If it's a reason that you're a helper mode and you're just carrying the burdens of other people, then you shouldn't bring anybody in, literally. So, but if you've got, say, a parent that's really ill, or if you've got a child, that needs help or issues, or they're too young, whatever. Or, if you've got somebody that's addicted, you might want to bring them in, but I would suggest not to bring them in, until you're, say, solid and stable. Once you become solid and stable, and you'll know that point, it's like, gosh, I'm solid and stable. I'm not doing it for any other reason other than actually helping this person. Because most times, people, when they bring people in, it's usually they're running burdening patterns. They're running, say, stabilizer patterns, like for addicted people, right? You need to be that person that pushes that other person forward. Those kind of reasons, you shouldn't bring people in, okay? Unless, again, if your parents are really, really old, they're too ill and so on like that, or, if your kids are young, you'd want to bring them in. If you're stable and strong, then you can bring people in. Yes.
Got it. So really, it's putting the oxygen mask on yourself first. Yes. And making sure that you're stable.
Yes. This one, if you bring someone into the 18 days, does it dilute the frequencies for me? Yes. So again, and the way you bring someone in is literally, you imagine them meditating not next to you, okay? Especially if they're a loved one or even your child, you want them to have their own space. Otherwise, their frequencies, their burdens become your burdens. Okay, that's why. So again, if you're bringing somebody in, again, notice what we talked about on why or who you should bring in. Okay, but if you absolutely have to, imagine them meditating in the 18 days, but somewhere outside of your space. So if you're at home, imagine, even if they live at home, imagine them meditating somewhere else, and that's all you have to do, and then forget about it. Okay. So again.
Thank you, Mas. Mm-hmm. So we do have a couple of minutes, and you said you wanted to look at the chat. So if you'd like to do that.
Yeah, if you saw any questions, or if the team saw any of the questions that really stuck out. This one, walking during meditation makes me fly so high. Pretty neat. Yeah. The key is that spatial referencing. We teach a lot about spatial referencing. That I didn't talk about much because again, it's an advanced tool or technique that we use. You know, spatial referencing on the essential. You know, giving you the logistics, the mechanics on how to spatial reference, and then advanced spatial referencing, you know, for goal setting and so on like that for the accelerated. So if you are that fidgety person, walking or doing something allows you to spatial reference it, and you become hyper aware of your surroundings. When you become hyper aware of your surroundings or how you render yourself, it makes it a lot easier, again, for some of those individuals who need to walk and shift or do stuff as they're meditating. Okay.
Moss, really quickly, since this is a lot of information for beginners, if they want to connect with other people who are taking this program, what's the best way to do that and or gather additional information outside of the program?
Yeah, well, you can always, you know, customer service is always open, but again, you know, we get inundated with customer service questions. So again, you know, be wise. There's usually an FAQ somewhere out there. There's also Facebook groups on the 18 days that you can join. And there's so many people that have done the 18 days that are eager and willing to help you. So I think that you can join the 18-day Facebook group and, you know, ask your question there. And there's somebody part of the 18 days that have experienced what you're probably experiencing, and they can give you, like, say, firsthand answer for you. Okay.
I think that's awesome. We also have a really great team watching the Facebook group, and they can provide some answers and or guidance if needed. But yes, Facebook group is a fantastic thing to do.
Yep. Some of you who are, you know, again, wake up at 3, 4 in the morning, you know, you can wake up literally, you know, at least be awake for the first 3 days if you can, but then you can wake up, you know, set your alarm clock, wake up, put on the 18 days, and then, you know, just go back to sleep. It actually allows you to go into deeper states of, say, REM sleep, by the way. So what's the difference between playing the replays in the background versus redoing, focusing on the meditation through the replays? Thank you. So the difference is that, one, if you've done, again, at least, you know, you've done it, say, at a mental observation, you participated, right? And then you're listening to the replays. If you want to do it again to go deeper into that, say, specific meditation for that day, you can. So the difference the first difference is, if you want to do it, say, focused meditation versus, you know, background meditation. So the focused meditation allows you to, say, learn and understand and dig deeper and heal deeper into, say, the situation that you're in. Okay. So I suggest doing the focused meditations, you know, at least once or twice, or on the off months, you know. And then the background meditation, you know, just leaving it in the background for you, is that it's more of a, say, support mechanism for you. So say you're working on a certain subject, you know, you're trying to heal yourself, or you're trying to create money, or whatever it is, right? Whatever issue that you have, right? On the background, when you're listening to it on the background, it creates more of a supportive frequency for you, so you can, say, shift and transform faster for you. Okay. The other way is that, the other way, focused meditation, is like you're digging deeper into your patterns and resolving them. The background meditation is, again, it's a supportive, say, recalibrating you, say, frequency that supports you, heals you, and then you can focus. So if I were you, what I would do is do at least, you know, one focused meditation, or maybe 2 focused meditations, and then play it in the background for you as a support mechanism, okay, for a little bit, and then go back, and then the focused meditation where you're paying attention to the words and so on like that. And then it allows you to go deeper and deeper into those states. So, okay. This one, why do I feel like I'm going to pass out or need to stabilize my body if I'm standing during certain moments during a meditation? Yes. So when you're standing up, and that's why I suggest standing up, and this is the way I got introduced to these hyper meditations after my near death, my first near death, is that I was, pulled into standing up. Well, when you're doing a stand-up meditation, it allows you to, again, hyper focus. You can't fall asleep. You have to pay attention to your body. Okay. So, that's really key. That's really important. But for you specifically, is it Carmen? Yeah, Carmen. So the reason why is because your identity of who you are, again, your identity of who you are allows you to say stand the way you do. Does that make sense? Your identity changes so much that literally you start to say destabilize yourself physically. A lot of times, if you've seen me work on people, standing up, in group sessions and so on like that, people just like fall over, right? Because they've changed so much. Their identity of even how they stand is changing. So if you have issues like that, I would suggest laying down or sitting up, okay? Or at least being supported.
Moss, I had one last question. Well, maybe not one last, but I do have a question that's a follow-up to something you've mentioned earlier. You have said that you're going into silent meditations or deep dives, and we've heard participants ask, well, what is the silent meditation or deep dive, or even are you still on the call? So do we need the silent meditations? Why do we do them?
Okay, so the silent meditations or the deep dives, the deep dives, I call them the deep dives, is that, I don't say much to you. I still generate the frequencies. There's a couple of reasons. One, it allows me to focus not on, say, my words. It allows me to, again, go to a much, much higher frequency, where I don't have to focus in on my, say, physical body or support my physical body, especially communicating to you, in a, say, coherent manner, basically. So one, I can generate higher frequencies, and that's what we do at the accelerated 18 days. Two, the deep dives allow you on your side to, say, support yourself at a frequency level, okay? Not to stabilize yourself through my voice, right? Because most people want that, say, need, or like, okay, he's still on, he's still supporting me. Okay. So literally I'm pushing you out to balance and harmonize yourself while I'm still working on you on the back end. Okay. So that's very important for you as well. How to protect and shield ourselves to stay clean and never taking other people's stuff, also during the 18-day medis. So the 18-day medis and so on like that, the way I generate masterminds and so on, is very, very different. Okay, that's a whole different topic that I don't talk about, again, because it's like a whole science of its own. Most masterminds, again, you're at the minutia, at the level that people are at. The 18-day hyper meditation mastermind is, I always create a version of you that's at least 3 or 4 or 5 levels higher than where you are or where the group is. So again, all your minutia stays below. The higher version of you gets forced again so you get absorbed to your higher version. So one, it's a clean mastermind. You don't have to worry about, say, protecting yourself or anything in the mastermind groups that I create for you. But the key is that as you ascend higher and higher, you don't need protection. You're just running at a higher frequency that, again, well, you're very attuned. And people start to honor your frequency. So again, you don't need protection. You just are protected.
Mas, I have a quick question. As a beginner, are the decompression days necessary? If we're gung-ho and we want to listen every single day, should we listen to the replays on days off? Or should we actually decompress?
I would decompress. It really, even if you're a seasoned athlete, right? It allows you, even if you're, say, physically capable, you're transforming. The 18 days for most people is literally a decade or decades worth of transformation in the 18 days. So even if you can physically, or even sometimes people go, I just want to do it all, go through it. Well, sure, you can at most, you can say replay some of the previous day's meditations on the decompression. But I would suggest sitting and analyzing your frequencies, or just being on your own for a little bit and understanding your new self. It'll take you further than, again, pushing and pushing and pushing. It allows you to settle. It allows you to rearrange your frequencies. It allows you to harmonize your frequencies so you can go further.
Quick question. So this used to be 21 days, and now it's 18 days.
Yes.
And you've said that you've had yet another near-death experience.
Right.
Are these programs changing as you change?
Oh, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. They're getting more and more intense. And this is where Emmy was in Ibiza, and this is what Billy was saying. It says, Moss, we're loving Emmy Medi mixed into the 18 days. That chill frequency often helps me process. That's really the key. My frequencies, guys, are getting really, really intense. Okay. They're getting really, really powerful. So you don't need as much of me. Before, in the past, say I would work on you for like an hour. Now I can do the same thing for you in just a few minutes. Same thing. But back in the day, it was 21 days straight, and it was every month. Okay. Nowadays, because of the intensity, people were just they kept what I do, or the frequencies that I generate, is like I dig deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into your soul, so to speak, or your essence, and get you to the highest level possible. But to maintain your sanity here, or to maintain your stability here, you would have to have a break. Okay. So again, what we've designed on the 18 days, again, 6 days on, 2-day decompression where you stabilize, and then 6 days on, and then 2 more days to, again, stabilize, and then another 6 days. So again, it allows you to stabilize as I get you deeper and deeper. Emmy, what we found out, it really helps that process of stabilization. She's more, as Billy says, a chill frequency. She allows you to, say, heal faster or morph into. So yes, we will bring Emmy in. That's another difference, by the way. So it allows me to, say, go into deeper dimensions of you and release those patterns. And at the same time, Emmy will help you stabilize. And then other techniques that I use to help you, say, detox minimally. So again, you get to where you want to be at a faster level. Okay?
So Mas, are you the surgeon?
Yes. So I would be the surgeon, just going, shit, you've got this frequency tumor that's going to kill you. Let's remove it. Emmy is post-op, where again, she allows you to heal much easier and much faster. Yeah.
That's a good one. Post-op.
Yeah. So this one, Chris, is Moss, should we never do training under a mentor in this environment, or is it okay to do? Chris, it's really dependent on you. Okay. I'm not saying not to do it, but if you can decipher what the mentor is actually, what you're actually learning from that mentor, because knowledge is literally, it's not just what you're learning, but it's about that person's identities, frequencies, and so on. All that is packaged into, mentorship. Okay. In the way the 18 days is like, I void myself so you do not get my frequencies. I know a lot of you go, well, there's nothing wrong with that. Well, even if there's nothing wrong, or it's the best mentor you could possibly get, but the key is that it's not your frequencies. And that's why, again, you need to generate your own frequencies. So that's the difference. So, but most mentorships, yes. So if you're at a level through XI, doing the 18 days or anything else, is that you're learning, you can learn from anybody. It doesn't really matter. You can learn, and you're just learning what you want to learn, and you're not absorbing all the garbage that comes along with them. Then, mentorship or other modalities and so on are totally fine. Okay. But if you're not strong enough, and then if you're not strong enough, I would suggest just sticking with the 18 days to feel like you're stable and understand yourself, and then you can go into other modalities.
So at this point, Mas, would you like to keep looking at the chat comments, or would you like to go through a question, for example, other XI programs work? For example, POPD.
Yeah, sure. We can go through that. This one quickly. This one it says, I think I have anger and no trust stuff that makes me resistant to doing ME's work. Yes, I think it's really anger type. Emmy is really a young individual, and as you awaken from what I'm seeing, Carolyn, is that you're seeing is like she's doing it at such a young age, and I'm older than her. So what gives, right? Again, that shouldn't really stop you. So that's so you need to get over that pattern. But again, a lot of older individuals have a great opportunity to relive their younger or their youth, to rebuild their youth the proper way through Emmy, because she is again a lot younger. So yeah, Emmy, she's my daughter. A lot of people asking about Emmy. She's my daughter. You can Emmy Sajati, EMME, and then Sajati.
We can go, if you'd like, we can go through the other XI programs since you've mentioned them during this, and I think it'll be beneficial for our beginners.
Yeah, sure.
So how do they work with the 18-day HyperMeditation? And after this one, we can call it a day if you'd like. So the first one is personal optimization. The second one is personal deprogramming. And the last one is elevation.
Right. So let's start with elevation. The elevation is a precursor to the 18-day essential and then the 18-day accelerated. It's 4 days a month, and it allows you to understand, say, the concepts of frequencies changing your life versus psychology and willpower and goal setting and all that, which is really old. I mean, they still work, but it's really old technologies to transform your life, and it takes a long time. So again, the elevation allows you, again, an introduction. It's mellow. It's only 4 days, in a month. It allows you to nurture yourself. Again, it gives you enough time to recalibrate, to understand, to see the possibilities for you. So that's the elevation. If you're an XIer and you're doing the elevation, again, it's an acceleration program. It allows you to, say, accelerate your progress that you've gotten through the 18-day HyperMeditations. The personal optimization?
Exactly. Personal optimization would be next after elevation.
Yeah. So personal optimization, what we do there is, this is before it starts before the 18 days. And what it does is, it really, cycles you or ramps you up to be a higher version of who you are. So it pulls out your, potential. Again, so most people, when they attack or try to change their problems, they're this small and their problems are this big, right? So the optimization, what we do there for you is literally ramp you up so you are, say, huge compared to your problems right off the bat. So it propels you into doing the the accelerated or just the essential. So it allows you to get a really head start and seeing the possibilities even before you start the program. So that's what the optimization is about. And then the personal deprogramming is that once you're stronger, and the personal deprogramming is after the 18 days is done, right? So once you're stronger, once you're complete, once you've again changed, say, your identity, or the simulation that you're running of yourself, again, a much better simulation of who you are. What happens is that you take the deprogramming afterwards, and then the deprogramming allows you to, say, physically make the changes that you need. So it literally integrates all of you or what you've learned on the 18 days and allows you to, again, come into and take action. So this allows you to make actions. This allows you to speak up more. This allows you to decide differently and so on like that with less and less free will. So it allows you to help you. It allows you to physically manifest what you learned in the 18 days. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you. So that was elevation, personal optimization, and personal deprogramming. Those are all the questions I have for you today, Mas.
So again, guys, with that, we'll end. We'll see you on the 18 days. Again, as we notice what you notice, and then notice the details of what you're noticing. All right.